Alright, so this is a quick overview of what I did to add to the KTM 1090 here. It's all disassembled. I'm working on adding these Amazon 20-something dollar new turn signals. There's 4 of them. I've just got the rears out here. These are, I think, the same. I think it's maybe Cyclops that sells these for like 40 or 50 bucks. I don't know. They're not cheap. If you look around on Amazon, you can find, I think, what's the same thing from like 20 from some no-name Wuhan infected Chinese outfit. So the deal with these guys is you get in the rear, you get the normal amber turn signal, and then when you hit the brakes, you get red, which is cool. Extra lighting back there is good. And then I've also got license plate bracket from ADV Monster, and this will blink the LEDs when you hit the brakes. It's not, there's no tail light, it's just a blinky blinky when you stop. So we'll have the normal tail light always on, and then we'll have brake light, brake light, brake light when we hit the brakes. Hopefully help keep a teenager who's sending a text message from running me over. So to do that, these came with barrel connectors on the end. I didn't want to hack up my my wiring, so I got from DigiKey these JWPF connectors. They are, let's see, what's the number on these? These are for the 2-pin ones. There we go. 02R JWPF VSLE-S. If you hop on digikey.com and look around, it's pretty easy to find those, and then once you're there, it'll get you all of the, you need to buy the little pins for the inside, a couple of other doodads, and then there's a 3-pin version also, and you need the male and female ends of those. Those are 03R JWPF VSLE-S, but you get on there and get some of each end of the connectors and the pins that go in the inside. They're not hard to put together. You need a crimping tool like this. I'm using 22 gauge wire, but you can see in the jaws up here we get the little pinchy to give her a nice crimpy. Regular automotive one won't work because these are just too small. What I ended up doing with the turn signals, there's the turn signal. On the rears, the yellow wire is for your turn, and black wire is the ground. And then the red one is what lights up with the brake light. So I've got just a normal spade connector on there because it's what I had laying around, running low on supplies, and you know, everybody's quarantined, so stuck at home farting around. So I got spade connectors on this end. This is what's gonna trigger the brake light and the turn signals. On the license plate bracket, we'll put another one of those JWPF connectors just because I had them around. They're pretty good connectors. This comes with, we've got the red for the positive for the lights, the ground, and there's a yellow doohickey over here. I think you can order for an extra few dollars a kit for these so that when you slow down, the light will flash even if you don't hit the brakes. I didn't spring for that, but I think this has something to do with it. I tried putting voltage on like all 3 of these or just these 2 in the ground. I couldn't get it to light up, so it must have something else going on in there, something a little bit smarter than I am to make it work. I didn't futz with it too much because honestly, I've kind of gotten in the habit of when you slow down just tapping the rear brake, or you know, tapping your front just enough to trigger the brake light. And I've got a few bikes, so I like relying on myself more than a gadget. That way I don't get in the habit of not tapping the brakes when I engine brake. So to make all this work, we need to get in between the wiring harness on the bike. My goal here was to not make any cuts into the existing harness. If we go back here and look at the motorcycle, in the rear, the tail's all taken apart here, but in the rear you'll have this 6-pin connector here, and it goes back to this mess. These are all of your turn signals. The red and green are the turn signals. I think green's the right and red's the left. Brake light, this one's a 3-pin. These others are all 2, so 2-pin connectors for the turn signals. And then our license plate light, we're not doing anything with that, but the brake light, what we're doing is, this is where your tail light assembly right there would plug in. What we're going to do is put something in between this to get the extra brake lights. And then the turn signal connectors, just for the turn and the ground, we'll just use these two with the connectors on the end of the turn signals here. Those guys. So one of these, that'll be for the brake. And I still need to dress this up with some heat shrink and some solder and stuff, but what I did was I took a relay, and I've got a, let's see, which end is this? Yeah. So this would be coming from the wiring harness, right? This plugs into taillight. Yeah, well, maybe. Which one is that new one backwards? Now, this guy, female end, would plug into the taillight assembly, right? Normally, from the wiring harness. So what we're going to do, harness would be, you know, kind of up here. This plugs in. We've got ground, brake light, tail light, right? Start with the easy end. The tail light goes all the way from this connector back to the other one. Here, let's plug this in. This will make more sense. There we go. Alright, so bike's wiring harness. Blue is the tail light. Tail light just goes straight through. Connect to tail light on the assembly here. The ground and the brake light are going into the switch side of a relay. So this is, I'm using the normally open circuit. We're using on this one, it's number 85 and 86. Here's the coil. So what happens is, when I hit the brakes from the wiring harness on the bike, we use the ground and the brake light circuit to close the relay. And from the relay, coming off of that, when the switch closes, I've got a couple of things going on here. We've got the ground and a positive for license plate bracket. I'm just sharing the ground with the ground off the harness, and then the hot side of it is one side of our switch in the relay. Doesn't matter which, pick your poison. And then off of that group also, you can see I've got 3 wires on the one connector here coming out. I've got 2 more. They're going to go to the brake lights for my turn signals up here, this mess. So we'll plug all those in. To power this side, these 3 wires, we're going to take the accessory 2 at the back of the bike, plug it in on the other side. So now my relay is closing this switch. I'm using accessory 2 to power license plate bracket and brake lights and 2 turn signals. The reason I did this, and by the way, if you do this, like I said, quarantine and all that, I had a 30 amp relay laying around, so I used it. You don't need a 30 amp relay. You probably need like 2. If you can find one with convenient spade connectors, you don't have to solder. But this is what I had. This will work. There's no reason it won't. It's just way overkill. Anyway, the reason I'm doing this is because I've got this will be coming from the wiring harness. This is going to the tail light. if for some reason this stuff fails, and I don't think it will, especially once I get all these soldered and heat shrinked and everything, it's going to be fine. But if I had a problem with all this spaghetti, or maybe this relay went bad, all I have to do is unplug taillight assembly from this, plug it back into the factory wiring harness, and all I'm losing is my extra lights in the turn signals and the license plate bracket, so it gets you right back to normal. No modifications at all to the stock harness. Let's bring it over there and we can see what it looks like. So here's how this will work. We've got, I'm not going to plug the turn signals in, they just go in here, but we've got brake light, right? This is the harness side of the bike. We're going to plug in our one side of our mess there. Other side of the mess goes to tail light. And then one of our accessory 2s that comes with the bike. All you need is the hot side of it. So the brown's going to be the ground. And it's, let's see here. Which one is this? It's hard to see on these. Yeah, ACC1. So this is just 10 amps straight back to the battery. I'm not doing anything else with this back here. So if I did, I'd get a fuse block or something. But once we get this in, this will all tuck up nice and tidy in the tail there. Especially after you get that charcoal canister removed, you got plenty of room underneath. And then we'll have all kinds of extra lighting. So once we get it all put together, we'll see what it looks like. Alright, she's all together. We got the spaghetti tucked way up under the tail where it'll be out of the way. There's what we look like key off. I'm not crazy about the look of the turn signals. They look a little too spacey for me, but function over form and all that. So here we are with just a tail light. There's the turn signals. I like that. Spiffy, spiffy. And let's see here. How are we going to do the brake? There we go. We'll do that. Alright. Getting that? Yep. There we go. There's everything. So we got 2 turn signals, brake light, and over to that, you can see. Here's what you get if you got brakes and a turn signal. Nothing. Oh yeah. Oh, that won't get somebody's attention. You're gonna run into